So Christmas time's around the corner. It's the holiday season, and Justin Trudeau is, guess, being Mr. Giddy, Mr. Generous, and wanted to offer people $250 checks. That was the whole proposal there. He also wants to do this tax holiday, meaning that for 2 months until February, you have tax exemptions on certain items and certain goods. It all sounds good in theory, but when we uncovered the true intentions, when we uncovered what the implications are, it's a lot more. It's a lot more than just a simple relief for working class Canadians. And as I stated, why exactly such a short time period? Why exactly now? Why exactly only on certain goods? There's so many questions to this that isn't being answered or addressed in this situation, including how this is going to look on small businesses. And this article, this is from Global News, pointed this out and says, will Canada's tax holiday create a mess for businesses? Some say yes. And they say that Canadian businesses are raising concern that while the proposed tax holiday will help consumers at checkout, the work to be done in stores to implement the change under 3 weeks is challenging. This is a mess, said Dan Kelly, president of the Canadian Federation of Independent Businesses. Many retailers right now are in the absolute busiest season and are now having to reprogram their point of sale machines not once but twice to remove the tax from some items and then add the tax back. So this is the criticism I give about this holiday, and why I feel like a lot of conservatives that were trying to crush this down, as Justin Trudeau would say, Pierre Poilievre is against, helping working class Canadians. I would state, why exactly are we putting this small temporary relief when really the proper implication to struggling Canadians is we scale back taxes as a whole? That maybe instead of implementing a further taxation on carbon, which will happen in April after this holiday, you're going to pay more in carbon taxes. Why are we not scaling that back? Why are we not scaling that back permanently in the disaster that is? Why are we not doing this? Why is it only 2 months in this timely scheduled period that you get certain exemptions of taxes? Now, this isn't going to all goods and services too. There's a whole list of what haves and what nots that are part of this holiday. And a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of people don't know what implications, what things are, part of this tax holiday, and so on and so forth. It's very messed up. It's very messed up intentionally. As an example, he said that a hobby shop owner may have to adjust the tax for a model airplane, but there may be questions around whether the glue or paint used for the model is taxable or not. So that's a great point. He added some businesses owners he's spoken to have to pay $500 each time for their point of sale device to be reprogrammed before and after the holiday. So to get a tax holiday for businesses, they have to cough up $1,000 to have this short holiday. $1,000 to have it programmed and reprogrammed for this short break. They didn't tell you this. They didn't tell you this in the press conference. You had Justin Trudeau and Chrystia Freeland gallivanting on how great it's going to be for consumers. How, you're going to be able to afford groceries in a short time period. Because after that, it's going to get worse. After this, it's going to get a lot worse. So this is Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, and the Liberal Party that's currently in power right now. This is how they're buying out time. They're trying to buy out the competition and buy out votes because they know their time is up. They know that the incoming election is going to screw them, that a lot of them are going to get kicked out. A lot of them have been kicked out, and they're nervous about it. So, hey, the holiday season's coming up. Let's give this short break to people. dangle a carrot of $250, which is basically nothing at this point with the inflation, the cost of living. It's basically pennies at this point, giving $250. And that will hopefully shut people up when it comes to the incoming election. This is them trying to buy up time. Under the proposed changes announced last week, the GST and HST, so that's the goods sales tax and the harmonized sales tax, would be fully removed from qualifying goods for 2 months starting on December 14th, with items like children's clothing, snacks, restaurant meals, and various groceries seeing the tax taken off. But the expansive list means added difficulties in determining what is and it isn't exempt, said Ann Kothawala, President and CEO of the Convenience Industry Council of Canada. Catherine Kaplinskas, Deputy Director of Communications for Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, told Global News the department had issued a detailed list of what would be exempt from the GST to ensure businesses can remove the GST from the items on time. She added that it was normal for the Canadian Revenue Agency to issue additional guidance for businesses and Canadians closer to the implementation of tax policy changes. At the same time, some Canadians say one of the most recent announcements still won't help them. The Working Canadians rebate check of $250 will be given out in the spring of 2025 to more than 18 million people who've worked in 2023. Rudy Buttigieg, president of the Canadian Association of Retired Persons, told Global News in an interview that the feeling from seniors and retirees went from shock to growing anger following the announcement. He said that many retirees lived on a fixed income, relying on payments like old age security and the Canadian pension plan, and the $250 checks could be added assistance. What we are hearing from our members is a resentment that they're being left out, Bouginal said. The $250 check is going to the people making $150,000. So this does not sound like public policy, and our members across the country are reacting to it. Asked last week why retirees or some persons with disabilities who cannot work were not getting the checks, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said Ottawa has been taking action to help the most vulnerable Canadians, citing the recent 10% OAS increase. Bouginal noted that it didn't apply to those 65 to 74, which is why CARB has lobbied to have OAS increase for this age group, and a move that the Bloc Québécois has also pushed for in Parliament. Kablinskas told Global News it would be categorically false to say seniors, Canadians with disabilities, and Canadians on parental leave are excluded. She said Canadians have to be making less than $150,000 in net income in 2023 and either have received employment insurance (EI) or has paid EI premiums or made CPP contributions to qualify. So here's the House of Commons addressing this issue, addressing this concern. Pierre Poilievre, and again, the whole purpose of why there's blowback from particularly the Conservatives on this is not that Pierre Poilievre is against working class Canadians, even though there is issues with Pierre Poilievre, but the concern for a lot of people, including myself, is why this is temporary. Why is this a temporary measure at a critical point where cost of living is already such a burden for many, many years that this tax holiday is basically a slap in the face to shut us up when there's going to be incoming taxes, when there's going to be an increase on the carbon tax, when there's going to be an increase on cost of living coming in April, and this tax holiday or the $250 checks isn't going to make a mark. That's the whole proponent of it. That's why people are critical and skeptical about it. And here's what Pierre Poilievre said about it.
Are weakened. Our military is weakened. And most of all, our Prime Minister is weakened. Why can't we have a carbon tax election so Canadians can choose a leader with the brains and backbone to protect our economy and put Canada first?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Speaker, while the Leader of the Opposition...
And by the way, he's doing the tax holiday at a $250 check after we literally pledged $19.5 billion off to Ukraine. This is a guy who told a room full of veterans that you're a cost burn. So do you honestly think that this Trudeau tax holiday is for the benefit of the working people as he's undermining working class institutions, as he's undermining the value of a middle class by implementing all these horrific taxes on the carbon taxes that is making cost of living worse, as he's taking all this tax dollars and sending it off to useless warfare and not investing in Canada, as he's making all these false promises, as he's about to say here. He's making a bunch of false promises, dangling carrots in front of our noses to shut us up because he knows his time, his cabinet's time, his political party's time is about to be over. He knows that the polling is not favorable of him. He knows that Canadians are struggling. They're fiercely angered by a person like him. So this is him trying to shut up time, give you a bunch of hush money that's literally just pennies at this point, and in the hopes that it's not going to reflect on the election. So listen to this.
Focuses on himself and on me. We're staying focused on Canadians. We're investing in the kinds of things that are going to help people. We stood up for dental care. We stood up to deliver a school foods program. We're moving forward with more spaces of $10 a day childcare. All things that the Conservative Party voted against. But most recently, Mr. Speaker, they've announced they're going to be voting against the GST break for Canadians over the next couple of months. Something that's going to help people at a time where they need that little extra help. But he doesn't care about helping Canadians. He just wants them to suffer more, so maybe he has a chance.
Isn't that what you're doing, though? Isn't that what you're doing, though? You're paying off Canadians. You're cutting back on GST taxes to give yourself a chance. Because as Pierre Poilievre is stating, that people don't like this carbon tax. People know that you've been such a burden that the cost of living has dramatically increased over Justin Trudeau's time in Parliament as Prime Minister. They know that the economy is doing worse under him. They know that this man who keeps lying to you, keeps coming up with these false equivalencies that, oh, we're going to get you, $10 childcare. We're, fighting for Canadian families. We're fighting for Canadian families. We're putting school lunches, helping with children so they get fed. As they're undermining the rest of the country. Because as they're doing all this, they're again putting all your tax dollars towards useless warfare overseas. They are money laundering to different corporations. They are scrutinizing and making it worse for small businesses, even far worse than what COVID did to small businesses. 70% in Toronto alone were forced to shut down and will never appear again. But now making it worse for small businesses to implement and getting eaten up by big competitors that are pledging allegiance to people like Trudeau. And now you had this GST holiday that's going to be worse, especially for small retailers. How are they going to afford to pay for this holiday, to change their POS systems, to change for this temporary holiday that's really not going to do anything? It's a gimmick. Why wouldn't you just roll back on the carbon taxes? And as you're about to see, those carbon taxes are pretty much useless. And how even though Justin Trudeau has pledged that these carbon taxes are going to be beneficial in both the environment and for people who get the rebates, it has done neither. New reports are saying that the environment in Canada is worse. It's worse as they keep taxing for carbon. The environment is worse under Justin Trudeau's carbon tax plan that's undermining Canadian families to the point that's become such a burden now that 2 million people are lining up at food banks monthly. And you think $250, a one-time check, that's not even going to come till next year. Not going to come till, what they say, May or April? April of next year. How's that going to help people today? How is that going to help sustain our working class people if they get a one-time check that may or may not show up? So this is Justin Trudeau buying up time. This is Justin Trudeau trying to bribe you with your own money. With your own money that he stole from you through the carbon taxes, through the endless means of money laundering, and going to send that to you as shush money because he knows that his time as prime minister is closely ticking away. So that's what's happening. And that's why a lot of small businesses are feeling this burden, and why the tax holiday, as glamorous as it sounds, as glamorous as it would be to, not pay taxes on a Christmas tree, is actually going to do more damage. And the worst is yet to come.